Greetings. One of the topics that I speak about often on this channel is the bubble in higher education, because most education, at least the type that is only of a classroom nature or the types of study that does not require laboratory work, can be converted to an online format and can be done over video conferencing and videos and things like that. And there is a degree program that Georgia Tech started in collaboration with Udacity and AT&T, and it began quite a few years ago. It is a Master's of Science in Computer Science, and I have been following that for quite some time. I even wrote about it in February of 2017. And you can see the video where I describe it in this tag up here in the upper right hand corner. So let's go to an excerpt of that video. So in February of 2017, I recognized an online degree program which was a collaboration between three different entities: a university, an educational tech startup, a high-tech company, and then a large blue-chip type company. So the collaboration is between the Georgia Institute of Technology, Udacity, and AT&T, and they created an online Master of Science in Computer Science program. Now, this was revolutionary because this is an entire degree. It's not just some small classes that you can take. This is an official accredited degree from a highly ranked engineering institution, an institution that still grants brick and mortar in-person residence degrees as well. However, the online degree is numerically the greatest portion of its enrollment at the moment, and that happened very quickly. And now there's an update to this program. Have you ever heard of any college or university in the United States actually lowering the cost of tuition? Well, this one did. Georgia Tech's online Masters of Computer Science degree actually went down in price. Not just rose at a slower rate, it actually went down in price. They waived a certain administrative fee that was tacked on to each semester, but it went down in price. Now, from the perspective of my Atom thesis, this is what you would expect. Even though it's extremely shocking to anyone who has direct experience with universities in the United States, the fees only keep rising whether the quality of the education is rising or not. But since this is of a very technologically advanced nature, it's an online degree program that teaches you how to produce more technology, the price went down. This is why the Atom, the accelerating technomic medium of the world, is itself intelligent, because it found a way to increase the supply of the number of people who are studying a field that produces more technology. Computer science is very high on that list, or even at the very top of that list. And not only found a way to increase intake of students, this online program can be something thousands of students are taking, whereas an in-person program at Georgia Tech or similarly high-ranked university might have just 300 students a year. It has lowered the cost. The cost is only $6,000 now in most cases. That is extremely inexpensive relative to the salaries you can get after you have a master's degree in computer science. Many senior engineers in Silicon Valley who are doing software development earn $200,000 to $300,000 a year, and people who are either managing engineers, such as a director of software engineering, or who are software architects, they could be $400,000 to $500,000 a year. And those salaries don't even often require you to live in expensive Silicon Valley anymore due to the work from home revolution, another technological disruption through the Atom. But this price went down, and this article describes why that is. And the cost varies a bit by semester, but the decrease is between 12 and 23% depending on how long you take to do the degree. The bigger cost is in taking too long to do the degree, because then the higher paying job that you're going to get is delayed. So doing it as fast as possible is in the interest of the student. Georgia Tech should allow students who can take on a full-time workload to do this full-time even, rather than limit them to 2 classes per semester for the first 2 semesters before they're allowed to take 3. A full-time student could take 4 to 5, in which case they would finish in 2 semesters, at most 3, and then get their job sooner. And remember, this is incredibly flexible if it costs only $6,000. The other institutions that have online degree programs, even for computer science, are not following Georgia Tech's lead in terms of this pricing, as I'll show you over here. Here's a ranking of the top 10 best online master's programs in computer science. The number 1 is, of course, Georgia Tech, which has the most experience in doing this. But number 2 is USC. Now, that's a very good school, but it's not higher ranked than Georgia Tech, and it costs $60,000. So if you were considering online, why would you even go here versus Georgia Tech? This is actually expensive. Georgia Tech's cost is trivial. Once you've decided to do online, this wins out on cost by a huge margin. There's not a whole lot of universities higher ranked than Georgia Tech. One of them that is Stanford, which also costs $60,000. Now, if you're admitted to Stanford to study an MS in computer science, I do recommend that you go there and attend in person, because you're going to meet a lot of people who could go on to found the next big tech companies. Google was founded by 2 graduate students in this particular department, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, as well as many, many other successes that are huge, just not as big as Google. This is a place you want to be in person, one of the few places in the world that you want to do that. So if you are admitted to Stanford, I would actually say attend in person if you can. But if you're going to do online, this still costs $60,000. Georgia Tech at $6,000 is much, much cheaper, 1/10 the price. And this beats out all programs other than if you can go to MIT or Stanford in person. And that too, if it's not too much trouble to relocate. The advantages of online are so many in that if you're in another country, you don't have to mess around with student visas and things like that. If you're relocating from a faraway country to be a grad student in the US on an F1 student visa, the airline tickets and getting set up with your apartment and your furniture alone is going to cost $6,000. Whereas the entire cost of this program is $6,000. And you don't have to leave where you're currently living. That is incredible. And that makes sense from an atom perspective. As I said earlier, technology is finding a way to increase the supply of people who will produce more technology, both the number of students who can attend this online program and the low cost of it, meaning it will cannibalize other fields of study. Now, I'll be the first to say that unless you really want to do computer science, don't do it. If you are actually interested in medicine or law, you should do that. Do something you love and will be good at. That is more important than the degree program being cheaper. So don't switch over to this just because going to medical school or law school is much, much, much more expensive. But nonetheless, for very related fields, this is a factor, particularly when other programs that teach the same thing at USC cost 10 times as much, and that is the number 2 program. If you go down to number 4, University of Illinois at Springfield, number 5, North Carolina State University. These are schools that are ranked lower than Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is consistently ranked number 7th or 8th in all types of engineering, so it's a major engineering school. Again, unless you can go to MIT or Stanford, just those 2 institutions in person, I would do Georgia Tech's Online MSCS if you're pursuing any master's degree in computer science. But the notion that the price can go down instead of up, to me is amazing, even though that is exactly what one should expect from the technonomic medium of the world. Deflation, not inflation. Tuition going down while tuition of all other programs in all other universities is rising, and we hear about the student debt crisis in the United States, where people have $200,000 of student loan debt for a useless degree, when a very useful degree, one of the most useful ones you can get, costs only $6,000 for an MSCS. That is extremely hard to beat in terms of job opportunities relative to cost of degree. And it brings up another question. The bachelor's degree itself is a very obsolete structure because a lot of unnecessary fluff is bundled into that. Why did they go to an MSCS directly? Why not a bachelor's degree? If a master's degree costs $6,000 for 4 semesters at the highest course load that they will allow, a bachelor's degree should cost only $12,000. Why can't you get a bachelor's degree in computer science for $12,000, even though that's full-time and it's 4 years? Because the bachelor's degree bundles a lot of other introductory courses and foundational coursework and humanities and social sciences electives, etc., under the premise that the university makes you a well-rounded person, as though you could not become one without going to the universities. They want to charge computer science majors a lot of money to study history and music and things like that, and universities got away with that for a long time because the college experience was considered holistic, a 4-year fully immersive experience that is quite obsolete in this day and age. And that's why they went for the master's degree rather than the bachelor's degree, when in fact the computer science component of a bachelor's degree is only 1/3 of the classes. My bachelor's degree was in electrical engineering, and only 1/3 of the classes were actually electrical engineering. The other 2/3 may have been mathematics and physics, but also humanities and social sciences and things like that. I took a minor in economics at that time. They want to jam more things into the bachelor's degree so they can still charge you rather than have this type of cost structure. Think about that, and think about how this is is a crack in the dam situation. This higher education bubble hasn't been bursting the way some people have predicted because it is too valuable to the government to keep the existing structure going. It is the propaganda arm of the US deep state government. But computer science, which is something done very substantially by foreigners, is very atom pure, and therefore this type of cost structure can exist, and it's borderless too. You don't have to relocate to the United States to be a student in this degree program either. Now this video is getting pretty long, so I think I can conclude over here, but if you like this type of content, I encourage you to subscribe to this channel. Thank you very much for watching.